So for this video, we will be solving multi-step equations. So like it says right here, make sure you show your steps to avoid mistakes and use a calculator. So on number 1, it says solve. For a lot of these, because they're multi-step, it's going to have to distribute first. So I have to distribute this -4 to both of these. Notice how there's not an extra arrow going to this one because it's only what's in parentheses. So -4 times 9 is -36x plus 8 is -4 times -2 minus 3 over 2 equals 43. So that's your first step. Then you have to see if can you combine anything. Well, I have an x, I have a number, and I have a fraction. Well, the number and the fraction can go together. So turn your calculator on. So it's 8 minus, and use this button right here. It's the fraction button. 3, arrow down, 2, enter. 13 over 2. So -36x plus 13 over 2 equals 43. And you're solving for x, so I need to move this to the other side. So in order to do that, it's positive, so you have to subtract. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So again, use your calculator. 43 minus fraction 13 over 2 gives you -36x equals 73 over 2. Okay, and your last step is to get x by itself. If you don't like how 73 over 2 looks, make it a decimal if that helps you. 36.5. Okay, but our last step is to take this and divide by this -36. Remember, this bar means division. So here, though, if you don't like to do the bar, just do divide by -36 so you can see it easier. So 73 over 2 divided by -36. Make sure when you're doing it, you're using this negative sign, not the minus, the negative. So you get x equals -73 over 72. -73 over 72. So let's just see what that is as a decimal. Okay, this decimal is horrible, so leave it as the fraction. Okay, again, we're distributing first for number 2 and number 3. So this case, you're distributing this 6 right here, but it's not just a 6, it's a -6. So go ahead and pause the video and see if you can distribute the -6. Okay, you should have paused the video by now. So if we are doing this part right here, which is distribution, it should be a -12x minus 30. But you have to bring the 10 down because we didn't mess with that yet. And don't forget your equals 20. Well, after you distribute, you always check to see if you can combine like terms. So I have, let's see. And remember, you're only combining on that same side of the equal sign. Don't mess with the stuff on the other side. So let's see, I can combine 10 and -30. So 10 minus 30 should give you a -20 minus 12x equals 20. Well, now the whole point is you're still solving for x. So here's the x I need. That's what I need to get by itself. So I have to move this -20 over by addition. So then I'm left with my -12x equals 40. Careful adding these together. And your very last step is to divide by 12, but not only a 12, but make it a negative 12. Divide by negative 12. Make sure when you're typing this into your calculator, it's very tempting for you to go 40 minus 12 because of the negative, but you have to remember this fraction bar means division. So you can either do 40 divided by negative 12, like that, or you can do fraction bar 40, arrow down, negative 12, and it gives you negative 10 over 3. Either way you do it, you need the fraction. We don't want decimals for this because the answer isn't exact. So x equals, what do we say, negative 10 over 3. Okay, for example number 3, let's look at number 3. Again, we're distributing this one. So if we distribute just like we did this one, you need to distribute that negative 2. So we're looking at this part right here. So go ahead and pause the video and distribute that negative 2 to the 3x and to the 9. Okay, so you should have paused the video already and distributed this negative 2. So I'm going to bring the 6x down because that's already there. Then negative 2 times 3x gives you a negative 6x. Negative 2 times 9 gives me a negative 18 equals 7. Again, after you distribute, so step 1 is distribute. Step 1 is distribute. Step 2 is like terms, so combine your like terms. And then step 3 is continue to solve. Solve for x. Okay, so combine like terms for this one. I can combine these x's, so it's different. Before it was the numbers, now it's the x's. So let's see, 6x minus 6x, that's nothing. That cancels out. So I have completely no more x's left. I just have negative 18 equals 7. Does negative 18 equal 7? No. So because this is false, this statement is not true, there is no real solution. So this is not your answer, this is not your answer, but no real solution is your answer. Number 4, the length of a rectangle is 8 centimeters more than the width. The perimeter is 52 centimeters. Write and solve the equation to find the dimensions of the rectangle. Okay, so we're given perimeter, and we're also given the length is 8 centimeters more than the width. So if I have a rectangle, let's just call this the length and this the width. Doesn't matter what you call what. The length of the rectangle is 8 centimeters more than the width. So is the length of a rectangle is means the length equals 8 centimeters more than the width is going to be the width plus 8. So this whole side is width plus 8. The up and down one is width. So it tells me the perimeter. So the perimeter is 2L plus 2W. We use this last unit. So 2L though, L is W plus 8. Plus 2W is just 2W. But I also know perimeter. The perimeter is 52 in the problem. So just like before, we have to distribute something. So I'm distributing this 2. 52 equals 2W plus 16 plus 2W. After you distributed, what do we have to do? Combine like terms. 52 equals 4W plus 16. Okay, now it's a two-step equation. Pause the video and see if you can do the last two steps. Okay, you should have paused the video, and your next two steps, because you're solving for W, should have been to subtract 16 to leave you 4W, and 52 minus 16 should have given you 36. Your last step should have been divided by 4. So 9 equals W. But we're not done because it doesn't want W. It says, what are the dimensions? Dimensions of the rectangle. So we know the width is 9 centimeters. But the length is W plus 8. So W is 9 plus 8, so my length is actually 17 centimeters. So those are my dimensions. Okay, number 5. Two consecutive integers have a sum of negative 57. Write an equation and find the numbers. Okay, consecutive integers are 1 and 2, 22 and 23, 100 and 101. They're right after each other. So to find two consecutive integers, I have one plus the other and has to equal negative 57. Well, if let's say my first one's x, the next one's going to be x plus 1. So because to go from 20 to 21, you took your 20 and you added 1 to it. So that's consecutive integers. It's always x and x plus 1. If it was 3 consecutive integers, the x, x plus 1, x plus 2. Okay, you combine like terms, 2x plus 1 equals negative 57. Now it's your two-step equation. Pause the video and solve for x. Okay, you should subtract 1. Careful when you're subtracting 1, because this should give you negative 58. Careful. Divide by 2 is x equals negative 29. However, just like number 4, it wants you to find the numbers. I found x, I found this one, but what's x plus 1 going to be? X plus 1 is going to be negative 29 plus 1 is going to be negative 28. So your two consecutive numbers to finish off this answer are negative 29 and negative 28. Yes, negative 29 should go first because it's smaller. You always do the smaller number first. Okay, last but not least, I want you to copy down the steps I'm about to show. So the first thing is distribute. So draw your arrows and write the word distribute. After you do that, pause the video. Okay, when you distribute, you should get this as your answer. Make sure you draw both arrows because I'm distributing the 2 to these two and the negative 3 to those two. Okay, after you distribute, your next step is to combine like terms. So when you combine like terms, you can do the 10x and the negative 3x together, and you can also do the negative 8 and the negative 18, which should give you this. So then you have 2 more steps to do. You have to get rid of the 26 and get rid of the 7. So when you add the 26 to both sides, that's the addition property of quality. So then you're left with 7x equals 43, and your last step is to divide, so that's the division property of equality. So when we're writing property of equality, sometimes we label it POE for short, property of equality, but your final answer should be 43/7.